What do you get when you get the surviving traders from the Horus Heresy into a magic, psychic hellscape for a few centuries, and then let them fight it out? You get Black Legion, written by Aaron Dembski Bowden. But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going through these Black Library books faster than the Talons of Horus go through Loyal Primarchs, which is pretty damn fast. And I need you guys to be here for part of the journey. So let's prepare to stand in midnight cloud. So Black Legion is the direct follow-up to Talons of Horus. After winning the Legion Wars, the newly founded Black Legion is consolidating the rest of their forces in the Eye of Terror so that they can, at long last, strike back at the Imperium that betrayed them. But their sweep of the Eye is not going unopposed. Tegus Derevic, the Lord of Hosts, a nasty Death Guard elite, is Abaddon's main rival, and he could be the only thing that stops him from achieving his destiny as the Despoiler. It's on Kaon to try to take on Derevic for his lord and find a way to eliminate this seemingly unkillable Lord of Hosts. And the rival warbands are not the only emerging problem for the Legion in Black, but they have old enemies waiting for them right outside the Eye that are older, more familiar, and even more deadly. Izakender Kaon is still an amazing storyteller. The Lord Vigilator of the Black Legion and the former Thousand Sun Sorcerer gives us his point of view for the novel again, and his heightened psychic senses gives us that insight into different characters and events in the Eye that most blunt point of view characters wouldn't be privy to. He's sophisticated, knowledgeable, and mostly logical, and his personality is well reflected through his narration. Kaon being majorly overpowered in the first book is one of the few things that I took points away for. It just felt like the stakes didn't matter much when Kaon could just dust anything that even resembled a threat. I'm not sure if that's a criticism for the first book that was considered when it came to Kaon's character moving forward with the series. However, he seemed much more balanced in terms of power in the novel compared to the first. Don't get it twisted, he's probably still top 5 psychers in the known galaxy, but his limitations are a lot more apparent. The difficulty he has trying to assassinate the Lord of Hosts earns him the dissatisfaction of his lord and peers, and I love that Kaon has so much more dangerous challenges to face, and he can't beat them by just sending them to the warp or ripping their souls out or pulling a higher demon out of his butthole like a rabbit out of a hat. I love that we get a lot more Abby in this book compared to Talons of Horus. He's there from the beginning this time, and we don't just see him as that charismatic leader with the master plan. I mean, he still is, but the Abaddon we see here is struggling under the weight of the pressure that is the attention of the ruinous powers. Similar to Kaon, Abaddon is painted as a much more vulnerable character. The traits I liked about him in the first book are there. His cool-headedness, his surprising likability, but it's tempered by his rage and pettiness, which is much more of the Abaddon that I remember from the Siege. His character actually developed, and I want to see a lot more of Abaddon slide into the darkness. There are so many juicy tidbits of lore about the early Black Legion from Kaon, learning their military structure, the logistics, the problems they face, and how Abaddon manages all of his lieutenants is pretty amazing lore. I even love that they took their name from the insults of their enemies. The Black Legion is what they called them since they didn't have any markings or insignia on them, and even their motto is really awesome. From the Shame and Shadow Recast and Black and Gold Reborn. The politics and the dialogue of the Izakarian are cool. These are Abaddon's inner circle who are allowed to voice their opinions to Kyle and even use his first name. They don't get along that well, and Abaddon's okay with letting them duel out their problems, as long as there's a strategic reason behind it. Abaddon is a great cat herder. He does a good job of keeping his people in line using different motivations, like for instance, motivating Kaon to kill Derevic by creating a hatred and a need for revenge inside of him, or how he recruits most of his soldiers with the promise of brotherhood and belonging, giving his sons of Horus somewhere that they can be relatively safe. Like, he's good at his job. Derevic, the Lord of Hosts, was interesting. He's an interesting villain. He didn't have a whole lot of screen time, but what we were able to learn about him secondhand through his lieutenants and his actions, he's just kind of the perfect foil for Abaddon and Kaon. He had this mysterious undefeatable streak. With Abaddon, he just runs from his fleet anytime he tries to attack, and he's able to deflect anything Kaon throws out just effortlessly. It's also great to see the comparison of his underlings compared to Abby, the former being mostly slaves and master relationships compared to Abaddon being the first among equals. Also, the description of his appearance and his physical traits makes my skin crawl. That's how you're supposed to write a Death Guard. Altio is back and thriving. Kaon's sister, the amnesis, is combined with the machine spirit of the vengeful spirit and created the twisted Malfina from Outlaw Star. Doing the fusion dance with the vengeful spirit has made her quite bloodthirsty. I love the descriptions of her getting fired up about destroying like the enemy void ships, and how when she talks it comes from the speakers in the mouths of the gargoyles all around the bridge. She is such a cool character, and I wonder if she's still installed on the vengeful spirit in the current lore. Now it's time to talk about the parts that I didn't like. So the only thing I didn't like about the entire book was Kaon's habit of leaving hints about feats or future storylines that don't even play into anything that's going on. Don't tell us that you brought Magnus to his knees. Pause. If you're not going to tell us how you did it. Don't tell us about a Black Legion civil war when you're still trying to figure out how to escape the eye. It's just giving us hope for a plot that may never even transpire. Or part of me thinks maybe Mr. Bowden, with much respect, you are my favorite, but it's almost like you didn't quite know where you were going with those plots yet. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, just in case we finally get that third book. I need that shit now. Now it's time to talk about some of the spoiler portions of the book. If you don't want to be spoiled to Black Legion, please skip to the rating portions of the video. So first and foremost, Sigismund is back, baby. And knowing everything he went through in the Siege of Terra, I have much respect for our boy. You won't see me cheering on loyalists very often. This isn't even one of those cases. Still, it's good to see Siggy, and Abaddon was glad to see him too. It's revealed that Sig is someone that Abby admired and respected, and is contrasted by Sig's pure hatred. Their duel unfortunately happens off page, and I won't take any points away, but it was a bit disappointing. The exchange of dialogue between the two characters was awesome, and Abaddon being almost mortally wounded by Sig's black sword was a twist I did not see coming. It was a good piece of the story, showing that Sig is still tough and that Abaddon is not invulnerable just because it's technically his book. And of course, you get the famous quote from Sig with his dying breath, masterfully delivered by Sir Jonathan Keeble. "You will die as your weakling father died, soulless, honorless, weeping, ashamed." Kaon and Derevic's duel was the main fight of the book. Took place at the same time as Kyle and Sig's fight. The secret to why Kaon couldn't damage him was interesting. I didn't expect Geyer to come back in this fashion. It was kind of plot armory that Kaon could just kind of figure it out in the moment compared to the other 6 or 5 times they met. But I still enjoyed the battle after all. And Kaon's links really shined in this moment, so it was a good build up, not perfect. The declaration of war on the Imperium is actually my favorite part of the book. And it's just one of the best endings I've seen in a while. Probably one of the best parts of the book. After the escape from the Eye in the first battle of Acadia, the Black Legion grabs one of the Black Templar ships and puts what's left of Sigismund's body on it. They laid it out funeral style, send it back to the Loyalists, and they put the black sword on his body. Before that, Kaon burns a message onto it with his ritual dagger in psychic flame for emphasis, and all it says is, "We are returned." Now it's time for the rating. Black Legion is a 9 out of 10. It's a wild ride with great characters. The information about one of our favorite traders. I only took a point off for Kaon's hanging story threads and not seeing Abby and Sigismund's duel. I definitely wanted to see that fight more than Kaon's. Sorry is candor. Well, that was the video. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you dug my review, leave a like and subscribe. And in the comments, tell me what you want out of the third novel. Suggest any 40k or fantasy books, as I will most definitely review them. Until next time, this is Ave Dominus Noob saying Ave Dominus Nox.